This learning is Le'ili Nishmas Burya Bas Chananya, Mesachas Kilayim, Perek Gimel, Mishna Gimel. Aruga shehi shisha tfachim al shisha tfachim. If a person has an area that's 6 tfachim by 6 tfachim, which is about 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet, and the person wants to plant over here very small amounts of different seeds. So since it's very small amounts, so the halacha is that Zeraim b'seicha chamisha Zerainim. A person can plant in this area 5 different types of seeds. Arba ba'arba ruchis ha'aruga, 4 on the 4 sides of the patch. Ve'echad be'emsa, and 1 in the middle. So what this would look like is, imagine you have an area here that's square 6 tvachim by 6 tvachim. So what the person does is they leave the corners empty. The 4 corners are going to be empty. Then they plant from one corner to the next 1 type of seed, a second type of seed, a third, and a fourth. And so this way they're actually not touching each other, just the corners are touching. That's the only place that they're touching, because you have this section over here is empty. So this one over here is touching the corner of this one over here. So they're not side by side. And in the middle, the person does it like a diamond. So this way, only the corners are touching these patches over here. The Mishnah continues that Haya lagvul gavaya tefach. If this 6 by 6 tefachim patch has around it an elevated boundary that's a tefach wide, so we have the 6 by 6, like we said, but around it there is a boundary of earth that's 1 tefach wide. So instead of just being 6 by 6, it's now 8 by 8. So since this area is elevated, so it's even more distant, less connected, and therefore Zeraim b'seicha shloisha aser. A person is able to plant over here 13 different types of species. What they do is shloisha al kol gvul gvul. They plant 3 on each of this elevated boundary. Ve'echad be'emsa, and 1 in the middle. So what they do is, you have over here the boundaries. We said the patch is 6 tvachim by 6 tvachim, and then around it we have this boundary that's elevated a tefach thick. So that means from here to here is 8 tvachim, each boundary. And on each boundary you plant 3 different seeds. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 boundaries, each have 3 seeds. 3 times 4 is 12, and they plant 1 in the middle, so that's 13. And just very briefly, the setup is the corners are all empty. It's a tefach in each corner that's empty. So now we're left with 6 tefachim on each side. What they do with these 6 tefachim is they plant over here seed for a tefach, empty for a tefach and a half. Seed for a tefach, empty for a tefach and a half, and seed for a tefach. So what you end up having is 3 seeds that are each a tefach, so that's 3 tefachim, 2 empty spaces that are a tefach and a half, so that's another 3 tefachim to make it 6 tefachim, and then the corners are empty, which is the 2 tefachim on the corners. The Mishnah continues that lo yita reishat lefes b'seicha gvul. There's an exception over here, and that is that a person is not allowed to plant the head of a turnip on this border, anywhere in the border. And the reason is because it grows very long, mipnei shehum maleyu, it fills it up, and then it makes it look like the species are mixed with one another. The Mishnah concludes that Rabbi Yehuda argues with the Tanakama, and he says shisha be'emtza, that the person is able to plant a total of 18 species in this area, because you have the border that has 12, and in addition he says you could plant 6 different species in the middle. And the setup of these 6 different species, very briefly, is going to be these diamond shapes, and we'll show over here a diagram of each of these. So here we have a diagram of the 6 tefachim by 6 tefachim area, where the corners are empty. As a result, the rows are only touching each other by the corner. There's no actual side by side, and in the middle we have over here this diamond shape, so again, there's only touching by the corners. Here we have the second case where you have the elevated border. Again, the corners are empty, so this way nothing's touching each other side by side, only by their corners. And you have 3 on each border. And in the middle you have, again, the same design, so that it's only touching by the corners. And finally here you have the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda that you can plant 6 species in the patch. And you're going to have these diamond shapes, 3 in each row. So that means if this is 6 tefachim by 6 tefachim, this will be 3 tefachim in its length, and in the width, it'll be 2 tefachim. So you have 6 of these diamond shapes that you can plant in here for a total of 18 different species.